Welcome to the A-Game Podcast with Nick Lamagna, digging into the minds and experiences of some of today's brightest entrepreneurs in real estate and business, along with Hollywood stars, UFC fighters, and your favorite rock bands. People that have figured out how to overcome obstacles, take chances, live boldly, and no matter what they do, they always bring their A-game.
Today's guest on the podcast is Alek Gilmore. Alek is with the company Transcend Alpha. You can reach him on Instagram at Transcend Alpha, TranscendAlpha. His email is Alek, A-L-E-K, at transcendalpha.com, and his website is www.transcendalpha.com. Great guy, great leader. Alek does a lot of trainings to help people with their business, personal stuff, professional stuff, goal setting, accountability, working through inner conflicts, time management, personal management, emotional intelligence, financial intelligence. He does leadership trainings for all kinds of different walks of life, different businesses. He's also a real estate investor. He's done sales trainings. He's got a long background, and he's been one of the nicest, most genuine people I've met in years of this business. I've been friends with Alek for a long time, and anybody who comes across him always knows him as just a really genuinely nice, good, caring person who really just wants to give back and help people. So I hope you get some good tips out of this. And if you guys want to contact him, that is information. You can find him on Instagram, you can email him, or you can jump on his website and contact him that way as well. Alek Gilmore, ladies and gentlemen. So you've been doing a lot of stuff, man.
Wow, I don't even know where to start. Honestly, bro, it's been such a whirlwind of a journey. But yeah, it's a lot of different things that I've learned along my path, along my journey here. And obviously, you're one of my closest friends. We've always had really good energy. We've always had really good chemistry. Tons and tons of laughs, like on the road. And I did enjoy a creme brulee or two, or three or four. Big old slices of chocolate cake, but it's one of those things where I appreciate actually what you're doing, because it's so true. Like when you get caught up in life, sometimes like the most precious things just kind of slip away, and that's like your closest friendships. And even though we haven't been in business on the road for quite a while, it's been cool that we've actually stayed in contact and communication, and we'll send each other like funny texts every now and then. So I do appreciate this, man. This is really, really cool. So big props to you. Big salute to you, my friend.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you for being a part of it. I appreciate it. I feel
dude.
kind of stupid doing it, but I was like, you know what? It's like one of those things, man. Like every day, I've been like, if I started doing one 2 years ago, look where it would be. And every day it was just like tomorrow, and I was like, I gotta take my own medicine. You know what I mean? Like it's the old saying. It's been coming up a lot lately. One day or day one. You know what I mean? And I was like, you know what?
I like it.
I'm just gonna go for it. So I did, man. So I figured
I like it. No, man, I support it, man. This is super cool. So, yeah, a little bit about what we're doing right now. So, like you said, like I'm really, really big into mindset, really big into, trying to live a type of life that your mind envisions you to live. And so the thought really stems from a lot of different points in my life, a lot of different things I've experienced, businesses I've been a part of, people I've come in contact with, and the genesis, if you will, of the whole what we're trying to do is really get the mind in sync with what you want to do in life. And in the beginning, like we wanted to just target just strictly like sales reps, because that's who I identify with the most, right? And it's one of those things where, so you have the subconscious, you have the conscious, and you try to bring everything from the subconscious forward, so that when you recognize a challenge, or you recognize an opportunity, or you recognize just something, like you can immediately act upon it, because your mind is constantly working and thinking. And so, I came across this thing. It was called Ideal Life Vision, about about 2 years ago, about 2 years ago or so, where basically you map out like 5 major areas of your life. So your personal, your physical, your relationship, your spiritual, and then your professional, personal, spiritual, relationship, and physical. And it's like if you could have like your most ideal situation, your most ideal life, your ideal, professional life, love life, spiritual life, whatever, like what does that look like? And it really gave me the opportunity to like really put all of my deepest desires out on paper. And I just wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. And I was really impressed with what I wrote down, because it's like it's everything like I was too afraid to say, or everything I was too insecure to really like put out there. But as I wrote it down on paper, as I read through it, I was like, man, this is pretty powerful stuff. And you write it in present tense as if it's happening right now, and you use certain language. So for example, like in my professional or in my personal life, I'm always trying to be like a better dad. As you know, I have 15 kids. I think 16 is on the way. No, I mean I have four beautiful children, and I'm always trying to be like a better dad. I'm always trying to figure out ways of like, how can I overcome this obstacle, or explain this principle better. And so one of my biggest challenges that I've always had is like, I'm really impatient. Like I want things done like now. I want it done like a certain way. It was kind of the way that I was raised, right? So when I'm dealing with my girls, and when certain expectations are not met, now keep in mind like they're 9, like 7 and 5, right? So I can't really expect a whole lot. But when certain things aren't done, I can feel myself getting like frustrated or mad, and I say things that I'm like, like, man, I probably should have handled that a bit better. So in my life vision, instead of saying like, I no longer yell at my kids when things go wrong, so my brain, and what I didn't realize was my brain was only attaching like even though it's a good thing, like not to yell at your kids, but like the word that sticks out is yelling. So as I'm saying yelling, like nothing is really changing, because that's all I'm hearing myself say is that word yelling. And so instead of saying like, I no longer yell at my kids, I rewrote it in a way that says, when I'm in a situation with my kids, I handle it with love and understanding and peace. And when we're done discussing, I embrace them with a hug and a kiss. So like it's the same concept of like, I no longer yell at my kids, right? But like I've switched it in a way where like I'm doing it with love and compassion, and I hug and kiss them, right? Now, I will say, like, I still yell at my kids at times. I still like that still comes out, but the frequency rate of me doing that is way low, and I'm able to like slow down my breath. I'm really able to slow down the way that I talk to them and react to them in certain situations, because like it's always playing in the back of my mind that when a certain problem arises, I kind of already know what I need to do as a person. Now it's on me to act upon that or not. And so that was really cool. Like it really helped me understand like how to talk to my kids on a very very intimate and one-on-one level. But then it took it a step further, where so when I have like all these things written out and how I want like my ideal life to be, I record it using my own voice. And the reason why, because like your voice is your most believable, powerful voice, right? It's the thing that has talked you into or out of everything you have or haven't accomplished up to this point in your life. And so I thought about for a while, like how many times have I told myself like I'm not a good dad, or how many times have I told myself like I'm not a good businessman or a good husband or whatever. Like no one has ever told me that ever. Like no one's ever said, hey, Alek, you suck as a dad, or Alek, you suck as a business guy, or Alek, you suck as a husband. Like I've never heard that ever in my life. But I've told myself that probably hundreds of thousands of, well, maybe 100,000, but like hundreds of times, right? Every single day. But as I rewired everything, as I hear myself tell myself that I'm these amazing things as a husband, a father, a businessman, spiritual, all these different things, I start to believe it on a very deep subconscious level. And what happens is that you activate a section of your brain called the reticular activating system. And the best way I can describe that is like if you've ever purchased a car, or you've ever purchased anything like a clothing or shoes, you notice everyone has that exact same car, or everyone has that exact same shoe or shirt or whatever. It's not like people went and purchased a car that same day, and also there's thousands of different cars or the same car out there. The car has always existed. It's just now your brain is conditioned to recognize it once it's there. And so now I can recognize certain things that pop up because I'm telling myself these things over and over again. I start to believe it. I start to become that individual. And then they take it a step further, and then after I record my life vision, use my own voice, I record it to a certain type of music, Baroque music. So Mozart, Bach, these amazing composers, because what happens is your brain goes into an alpha wavelength, right? So you have different wavelengths in your mind, like beta, theta, alpha, stuff like that, right? And the reason why it's important to go into alpha is because scientists call this the genius state. You're able to reduce your anxiety, reduce your stress, increase higher levels of concentration, increase higher levels of intelligence. It really is. I mean, that's why so many people you hear for years and years, if you study something, make sure Mozart's in the background playing, or make sure these classical music is playing in the background, because your brain will tap into this alpha wavelength. And it's like magic that happens, bro. So as I'm telling myself all of these things and all these aspects of my life, and as my brain is in this alpha wavelength, and as the two combined, it's like the most beautiful symphony that goes on in your brain, dude. And you just start to become this individual, and you start to just do certain things a different way. And it's been a humongous game changer for me. And so I've been doing this for quite a long time, and I really wanted to get this out to other people as much as possible. But more importantly, like sales reps who maybe are struggling with certain things, or they want to have a better relationship, or a better spiritual or better professional, or whatever it is, right? Because I connect with that individual so much. And it's been amazing. The people who I've coached up to this point, and just in a small period of time, even 2-3 weeks, going into the program, I get emails and texts dude, this is the most amazing thing. Thank you so much. This has just been a total game changer for me. And so my business, or my company, is called Transcend Alpha, where it's the word transcend means so many different ways. It's above and beyond anything, when you live a transcendent life, or when you transcend to another level, it's more than raising the bar. It's breaking through these impossible planes, right? It's just, and then the word alpha, it's you want to take control, or live an alpha lifestyle in all these different aspects of your life. But then the word alpha has a dual meaning. You also tap into the alpha brain wave into your mind. So it's like a subconscious thing. So
it's all about learning how to connect with people. And I think you have a very approachable presence. Everybody that you meet likes you. People that we've spent time with that tell me that they're your best friend, that you guys have been friends for 15 years. That's a testament to you of how people just get comfortable with you, and people just open up to you. And I think that's why you've always done good in things like sales and just networking and business in general. So, with me with the MMA and the boxing and stuff, I was talking to somebody else about it, but I'll watch Ray Longo, and in between rounds, he'll go to one guy and he'll curse him out in between. They were like, hey, what are you doing? Get up, F, whatever. And that guy would go in there and crush it the next round. And I look at it and be like, man, if that was me, I wouldn't respond all of that. And then I'll go in there, hypothetically the next round, and I'll say things to Ray. I remember one day I was upset about something, and he grabbed me and was just he's like, look, you're doing your, I forget exactly what he said, but he said to me exactly what I needed to hear. And his tone and everything was totally different. And I was like, that's a great coach, because He
Yeah.
knows how to say things to get the best out of his fighters. So he knew exactly how to say things to me and the way to say it and what to say, the same way he did to that other guy. So I feel like if people want the woo woo, like they'll find the woo woo guy. But I feel like somebody like you will get more business and relate to more people because you're not that over the top person. You know what I mean? Like, and you can get
Right.
somebody will take whatever it is, whether they're a salesperson or a real estate person or a business person, they'll be more open to hearing what you have to say, and you'll figure it out just from your people skills of how to get that message across. And I think that's the difference is the people that are just totally over the top with all the, like way too Tony Robbins, and it's just not realistic. You know what I mean? And another thing that you said that I think is really important, which, I'm still trying to get better at like everybody else, but you're somebody who's at the top of your game with things like that. And you even said, look, I'm writing stuff down, like don't yell at my kids, but don't get me wrong. I still yell at my kids.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big mistake is that people will start that and they'll do something like work with you and be like, well, I don't want to yell at my kids anymore. And then for 2 weeks they'll do good. And then all of a sudden they'll blow up at their kids and be like, I failed. That's it. Like a diet. You know what I mean? Like you do good for 2 weeks, you eat a Big Mac and you're like, there it goes. And now you go down. Whereas I think you always have to look at it that, like, what do you do with somebody? Because I think people tend to look at it as once they have one, like, missed obstacle or missed goal or mess up or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like a temporary fail, there it is, that's it. And I think they assume that nobody has it, whereas everybody does. I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
Everybody has insecurities. Everybody has fear. Everybody has bad days. But it's a matter of like, how do you get up from it? And that's another reason why, like, just backtracking a second, why I like talking to people like you, because knowing your background and you being, for people who don't know, you've been a real estate investor for a long time. You've started businesses. You came from kind of a violent background and turned into this really positive person. So anybody who leans on that of like, well, my family and my upbringing, my whatever, no, like none of that matters. It's a matter of like, what do you do with it? And you've had ups and downs, but what I love about it is you've never let that stop you. You've just like,
Yeah.
it sucks, and you kind of kept it to yourself, kept a smile on your face, and just went on the next day of like, yeah, this sucks for today, but I'm not going to let that stop me from what my goal is in life. And, so I'm sure you deal with that when you're trying to help these people. So what are you seeing is the difference between somebody like you who has hard times, but is able to get past them, and somebody who lets that cripple them? Or like, what's some of the stuff you think is the difference between you getting through that and how you help other people get through that? Because I really see that's the biggest thing is just people quit.
Yeah, dude, that's the biggest thing. That I appreciate you say that because so many people live what I call an IG life, right? The Instagram life where it's like everything is butterflies, rainbows, and sunny, you know what I mean? Like that's just not the case. Like what you have days like that where like everything cannot go wrong. It's like this perfect just utopia, right? But more times than not, I mean, yeah, like people will still yell at their kids or have an argument with their wife or mess up on a sale because they said like the dumb thing, right? And that's life. Like that's what happens. But what I really try to hone in on and really like pound into my clients is like, listen, by like small and simple things, like great things come to pass. So if you're better just like 1 degree today than you were yesterday, that's a humongous victory. That's a humongous win. Because so many times people like want like that instant gratification where, hey, I'm doing this mindset thing and like tomorrow, like everything's gonna be perfect. Like there's gonna be no trouble, no nothing. Like, no, that's not it. Like troubles are still gonna be there. Bills are still coming in. Like your relationships are still gonna be there. Like, but what are you gonna do to be 1% better tomorrow than what you were today? And if you can be just 1% better tomorrow, then that's massive, because when you compile that over a period of time, like even like down like a week, and you can backtrack and say, man, like I did these things very, very well. These things it's like so I call it like reflect and reject, right? Like you reflect upon things that went right, and then you reflect upon things that you could have done a bit better, and then like you just like reject it and say like, all right, listen, I'm gonna work on this week. There'll be ups and downs for sure, but if I can come on top just a little bit more than I was yesterday, then that's a huge victory. And that's why I do get like texts and an email saying, hey man, like this is powerful stuff, because I'm now consciously aware of things coming into my life, and I'm consciously aware of how to deal with these things once they do come up. And to me, like, that's the biggest thing. It's like being aware, being present. I think so many times, like we get so caught up in these devices, like, and don't get me wrong, like I love, like, this is our livelihood, right? But how many times do we just like go to dinner or whatever, and your phone is like face up right in front of you, waiting for like that text, or waiting for that call, or waiting for whatever, and you're never present with one another, like exchanging like that human connection. I think we've lost sight of that human connection, because this is standing like in the way of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like an old school way of doing things, but I love it though, man. Like I love just putting my phone away to the side, or just like, throwing it to the side, and being at dinner with my family, or when I'm out with a colleague, or out like on a business meeting or a business call. Dude, my phone is always in my pocket. Like it's never out, it's never in front, because what I don't want the message to come across as my phone is more important than you standing right in front of me. Like I never want that message to ever come across. So like I'll put my phone on silent even, and I know like within that hour and a half, I need to be 100% focused and present, because if I'm not, then I might miss out on a tremendous opportunity to either help them or help myself. And so that's the biggest message that I try to get across, is like, don't beat yourself up when things don't go like exactly according to plan. Like, embrace and celebrate those small victories along the way, because they will add up into like big wins eventually.
It's awesome, man. I love that.
Yeah.
You reminded me, I was reading, I think it was a tweet or something like that. And it was like, something about business challenge. Everybody goes out to dinner and everybody puts their phone face down. First one to flip it over and check it has to cover the bill. Well, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
it's true. It's a lot of the time. And even now, like, I'm getting better at it. Like at a certain point in the night when I'm like, all right, I feel like I'm good. Like I put all the like sleep contacts on. I have a couple of the emergency contacts in case they want to call, but not checking
Yeah.
the middle of the night, because I agree. You start to realize that, like, I lost service at the beach the other day, or a couple of weeks ago now. And then out of nowhere, I had like 79 texts, and I was like, oh my God, wait, what's going to happen? The world must have fallen apart. All my deals are gone. Like, my business
Yeah.
crumbled. And then when I started texting back, I was like, I am so sorry. And everyone's like, it's cool. Like, we got on a call and we handled it. And you were like, oh, like, so if I'm not becking at this every second, like, life goes on, people figure things out. So, sometimes like even all of my buddies, like when they lose their phone, the first couple of hours, it's like, I'm freaking out. And then like the next day they're like, I don't even want it back. Like it's been kind of nice.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So I think you're onto something with like the relief there. And even like doing this, I like that I'm not checking my phone. Like you're able to,
Yeah.
because I think people forget about that part of it, man. That's why I love jujitsu. And, one of the other things you were saying, I was talking with my buddy Eddie Chagorn. He's a UFC fighter.
Hmm.
He was on talking to me the other day, and he said he's got a 3-day rule that no matter how good or bad something is, if he loses a fight, he gets knocked out, he gets cut from the UFC, breaks up with his girlfriend, whatever it is, he is going to eat shitty food and drink and be miserable for 3 days, and that's it. And if he wins the UFC title, or he closes the deal of a lifetime, or his book becomes a bestseller, he is going to party and celebrate for 3 days. And then it's right.
Yeah.
I was like, I kind of like that. You know what I mean? So, because everybody, and whatever it is, I don't care. I think there's a misconception that when you do anything, people are always thinking, like, they look at me doing real estate, or you doing business stuff, or somebody who's an actor, or I don't care what it is. That, like, when I listen to Rogan's podcast and he's got people from all
Hmm.
different walks of life, whatever you're trying to do is always going to have ups and downs. I don't care if you're a
Yeah.
politician, an author, or a real estate investor, a movie star. Like the guy, this comedian that was on a bunch of really successful TV shows was like, I want to get out of the business. I hate it. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, you're exactly what everybody worked for the last 30 years to be. He's like, yeah, but when you're actually there, it's weeks and weeks and weeks on a movie set of hurry up and wait for 17 hours to do a 30-second shot. So it's kind of like the grass is always greener. And so the only thing is to really be present with what it is and enjoy the experience. And not get too down with the downs and not get too high with the ups, and just, kind of enjoy it and take it for what it is. And just, like you said, engage with your family and have the experiences. And it's really what life is about at the end of the day, man. I mean, I don't think either one of us are really driven by money.
Yeah.
It's an important thing. I don't think anybody really is at the end of the day. If they are, like, I understand the lack of it, but once you
Yeah.
have enough to kind of catch up and get ahead, I don't really see a difference between like a little bit more and a lot more. It's never changed me. I've been more happy at some of the times in my life that I've had the least amount of money, and I've been the most
Yep.
miserable some of the times I've gotten the biggest checks. It's just
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one thing like I've always appreciated about you though, bro. Like it's like I know, your the background and the things that you've had to overcome to get to where you are. But it's like, dude, like when we're out, when we're just hanging around and just messing around, like you would never, I mean, you're so down to earth, you're so cool with everything. It's like, dude, like Nick Lamagna is just like he's the real deal. Like he's genuine, he's real. Like it's such a breath of fresh air because you have people like when they have just a ton of money or a ton of influence or whatever, like it almost changes like their DNA. It almost is like changes like who they are as a person, or that's who they've always been. It's just magnified a bit, a bit more with the money, right? And so like I think you're exactly right, dude. And that's one thing that I really have begun to appreciate was like money. I mean, money is important. Like let's not get it twisted. Like it is an important part of life, but you can have you can have as much fun and as much amazing experiences with or without money. Like it all depends on how you handle the situation. And it's funny because I went back north on the reservation this past weekend. I mean, that's where, as you know, that's where I come from. Um, and I haven't been back home in a very, very long time. It's just kind of, I mean, besides my parents being there and stuff like that, like it's just kind of depressing up there, bro. Like it's very desolate. Like you almost feel like you're like in a third world country in some places in my town. And like there's just like it almost feels like it's like hopeless up there. Like it's crazy. And as I was driving through the town, and as I drove through different parts, and I was telling my wife like this is where this happened and this is where that happened, and shots came from this area and all this other stuff. And I began to reflect, like like even though growing up, I mean, it was very very challenging. I still had some of the best experiences up there, man. I still had like tons of fun, and we go hiking in these big huge mountains, and well, they're like the sand dunes. We place called the Toes, and like we just spend just all day up there, just hunting rattlesnakes and hunting lizards and just doing kid stuff, right? And again, I began to reflect, like life here on the reservation and life like here where I live right now, like the only like real like separation or the real um I guess constant was that if you have the right people around you to like lift you up, you have the right people around you to share the same values and beliefs as you do, regardless of what background you're from, like that's what life is all about, man. It's about having these experiences, it's about having these precious moments with the most important people in your life and creating these memories that I mean money can never ever touch, right? And that's what I've come to appreciate that more and more in this journey of like of trying to build this business is like as hard and as stressful as it can be, like it's so much better. The journey is so much sweeter when you have the right people around you, like in your corner, like pushing you to like don't give up, don't give in, just keep on going forward. And that's one thing I've always appreciated about you, man. You've always been a giver. You've always been someone who's given love and given respect and given, props where they are. Like you rarely want to take credit for anything. You'd rather give credit than take credit. And that's just like, that's big time salute to you, my man.
appreciate you saying that, man. It's easy to give credit when you're around good people, man. It's like you said, you gotta be kept grounded, and I like if I'm around you guys and we're out and I say something stupid, like you're gonna say like that was stupid or you're an idiot, or you know what I mean? Like you need that around you. You need real people to tell you like when things are good and when things are bad, and that's I've always appreciated like just having good, honest people around me that none of the people that we associate with really have egos or anything. They're all just kind of want to do their thing and help out. And, I feel like in business, especially when you're like you and I, that you've taken your lumps, like I've never gotten or understood the person who has that massive ego. Like same thing, like I always relate back to fighters and stuff like that. I think it's going to be really rare that you find a guy that's a high level competitive fighter, like especially a UFC type of guy that's got like an ego through the roof, because
Yeah.
given day, you're having a good day, you're kicking everybody's butt, and they go, okay, bell rank, switch. And now, like, I just went with somebody and I'm doing well, and then they go, okay, well, now you got to roll with Chris Weidman for 5 minutes, and I'm literally getting manhandled like a baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, very same thing with business. You know what I mean? Like, you've done real estate for years. The second you start thinking, I'm the king of the world, I can make all this money and I'm going to be crushing it. And all of
Boom.
a sudden, yep, the next deal falls flat. Like, so, I feel like every day you can be up here or down here. So the only way to be is kind of right down the middle, man. But
Yeah.
what
There,
have you done over the years to keep yourself positive and motivated when the chips are down, and kind of keep it looking forward to the next deal or the next day or the next sale or the next client? Like, how have you kept yourself in the game? Because it's been a long time you've been kind of in the business, right?
yeah. Um, there's one thing I do. So I'm a routine guy. Like I have to have a certain type of routine, um, or else like the day just does not go as well as it could. And so I'm really big into waking up early now. So I try to wake up anywhere between 5:30 and 5:45 every morning. I get in what's called excuse me, a power hour, and in that power hour I'll read like a self-development book, or I'll listen to like an audio book, and I'll get like some type of spiritual nourishment in. So either like reading like the scriptures or some type of spiritual talk or spiritual music, or something to kind of get my spirit alive. And I found just in that little hour window, I'm able to focus in on what I need to do, like what are the important things I need to do for that day. And part of that power hour, I listen to my life vision. So I listen to myself, tell myself these amazing things that are going to happen as if they're happening right now. And it just gets me in the right frame set, man. You know what I mean? Like that's just been one thing that I've always had a I don't know if it's an advantage or a one up, or I don't know which one to say, but I've always had a strong mind where like if I put my mind to something, like come hell or high water, like I'm gonna accomplish it. Like it might take me a bit longer than the next dude, but like believe me, like I'll get there one way or another. And the only way I can really fulfill that is just doing these simple small things every single day. And that's just, I mean, that's it, man. Like just doing simple small things every single day, and once they compound over a period of time, I see this growth and this change. And once you start to see and feel changes, and feel like you are becoming who you say that you're going to become, the next natural thing to do is that you want to share it with other people, because you see people who maybe were in your situation, or people who may be in a predicament right now. We're like, you know what, if I could just teach them this one principle or this one thing, it might make all the difference in the world for them. And that's the thing that drives me the most, is like just knowing like how challenging things can be. Like it doesn't have to be that all the time. And really it comes down to like what's your belief system, what makes you tick, because all of us we're different. We are inspired, we're enthused, we have different things that make us tick. It's like, what makes you tick, and how can I help promote that? How can I help like build upon that? And really at the end of the day, it's all about service, bro. Like it's like, how can I serve you to make your life a little bit better? So that's kind of been my approach to everything. Now, again, like I say, it's never like, trust me, I don't go 365 waking up at 5:30, 5:45 every single morning. Like I probably, maybe 4 times out of the week, I'll do 5:30, 5:45. But the other days I'm like 6 o'clock, 6:15, 6:30. It's just,
It's
but it's
still
like, again, yeah, but again, it's just like one of those things, like you have to embrace the victories, because if you just focus on the things that are not going right, like life can be freaking miserable.
yeah.
So
It's funny though, even something like that, man. Like when people see that I post like, oh, I went to jujitsu at 5 a.m. Like they think that I wake up at 5 o'clock with like this huge smile on, like singing show tunes. Like I can't wait no, like I'm sitting there like I don't want to get up. Like I'm
Oh,
half
it's the
texting the person I'm
worst.
supposed to meet that I'm sick. You know what I mean? Like I'm telling
It's the
myself everything,
worst.
like don't go. But eventually you just roll out of bed, and then when you do, you're happy. But that's the thing. Like everybody has that voice in their head, and nobody wants to get out of bed when it's cold and your bed's comfortable and the lights aren't on. But what do you tell yourself? Are you going to convince yourself to get out of bed, or are you going to convince yourself to stay in bed? Because you're going to have both. You know what I mean? Everybody does. But I always say, like, your why has to be bigger than your why not. Like, I was in, oh man, where was I? I was in California or something, and I trained with this dude. I went to meet him at like 5. And then I was like, dude, I can train again tomorrow, but it has to be really early again because, I got to go and go to this class, whatever. And so he texted me at like midnight, 12:30, something like that. And he's like, I'm in for tomorrow. And I'm like, cool, awesome, 5 a.m. He's like, yes. So I get up at like 4:30 or something like that. Dude, I did not want to go. I'm like eyes closed, like bumping into my dresser in my hotel. I'm like putting my thing on, cursing, you know what I mean?
Oh, it's
Like
the worst.
I wanted to tell him, and all of a sudden my phone dings. And I'm like, all right, well now like he's up, I have to go. And he's like, oh, I blew my back out. I can't train this morning. I'm like, from 12:30 last night when you went to bed to 5, like you woke up the same way I did, hoping I was going to cancel, but
Yeah.
and you were like I know you're not hurt. You know you're not hurt. I wanted to text you and say I hurt my back, but I didn't. But I feel like that's just the difference, man. Like everybody has it, but like where is that? And people have this false pretense, like it's easy. Like no, it still sucked. It sucks for everybody, but
Yeah, I did.
the feeling when you get it done, man, there's nothing better than it. Like you said, once you start creating those routines and you start to see those results, like it really makes the difference, man. I love that. I love that.
I love what you said. Your why has to be bigger than your why not. Like that's powerful, dude, because you're right. There's no one that I know that like looked at the clock at 5 o'clock in the morning and there's like, oh sweet, like it's time to get up. Jolly Juju. It's like freak that crap, dude. Look at that thing. I want to throw my phone across the room, bro. Like I hate it. I really hate it. But
The alarm goes off.
yeah, dude. It's like, but it's those little habits that you do something when you don't want to do it. Um, I was taught something, kind of through like this whole process. Like, if you wanted to have anything in this world, whether it's the most amazing business, relationships, whatever, if you only did everything that you did not want to do, you would have it all. Like it's so true because so many times like these resistance walls pop up when you're about to break through like another level. And it's like all these things play into your mind where I'm not good enough, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. But it's really it's our fear of the challenge for one, but saying, all right, what if I actually do stare this challenge right in the face and actually fight it head on? Like what's gonna happen? And 9 times out of 10, like you defeat it and you level up, right? But it's that. I mean, Mike Tyson says it's the best. Like everyone has a plan until you get hit in the face. About 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, like I was faced with this. Here I am, like talking about these mindset things and living this type of life, and now like it's evolved into more like sales strategies. So we have like a 3-phase process where it's like you identify who you're speaking with, you identify like what type of sales strategies of like cold calling, closing, building your pipeline, all these things, and then like the mindset things, right? And one of my good friends who lives in London, he's in charge of a sales team who like they're I mean they do like big sales. I mean like a small deal to them will be like a $20 million deal. And one guy, he's doing a like a $750 million deal like right now. And they wanted me to train their sales team on how to be more proficient at cold calling and be more proficient at closing and identifying like who the target audience is. And when he said like I recommended you, and so I did this with my wife Kiana. It's like I recommended you and Kiana to train this the sales team. can you guys do that? And dude, like every ounce of my body wanted to say no. I wanted to say, heck no, like no, like I don't, there's no way, right? But I was like, you know what? F it. And I just said yes. I said, what could happen? Let's roll with it, see what goes down. And so the day came on, and we did the training, and like the love and just like the like appreciation from these sales guys saying like, man, this is like one of the best things I've ever experienced, that I've ever heard. Like, thank you so much. Like that was like all worth it, man. And I sat back and I reflected with my wife Kiana. I was like, imagine if I said no. Like, imagine what would happen if, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I mean, here this amazing opportunity came about, and I had every chance to say no, but we said yes, and here's the result. And so everyone's programmed the same way. Like when fear creeps in, like the first thing you want to say no. Like this dude, like, oh, my back hurts. F that crap. You just didn't want to get up and freaking work out. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what separates those who are good from great to elite. It's like you constantly do everything that you don't want to do.
That's how you transcend.
Boom.
See how it all came full circle? You're right, man. That's exactly the difference right there. And I like all those principles, just the little things every day, and the old cliches of that it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. Like you get burned out and things like that. Another thing, two things actually I wanted to touch with you. One,
sure.
You have a very interesting judge of character. You've introduced me to some really awesome people. Actually, what hopefully is going to turn into my co-host is going to be Jared Osman. So
right on.
Talking to him, he's been helping me out with some stuff, and he was on the other day, and he's a really good guy, and you introduced us. The other thing is, we also have some other people that we know that, I mean, I've dealt with a lot of, the best way, I guess, on the real estate side is I'm learning to tell people, like, don't only necessarily vet the property. You really have to also vet the partner, because
sure.
I had bad experiences way more with bad people involved with my properties than actual bad properties. And I know you've had some ups and downs with that, with just trusting the wrong people, or just people not doing what they say, is I think really what it comes down to. I've been going to a lot of masterminds and things like that lately, and one of the biggest things I'm seeing is they keep saying, look, the biggest difference between people who make it in whatever business it is, just in life, and people who don't, is the people that do what they say they're going to do. So if you're not going to do something, say you're not going to do it. And if you're going to do something, do what you say you're going to do. And I'm finding that most people don't. They start out hard and then they fade away, or they take their foot off the gas. They don't really stick with anything. And that could be something that makes you lose. Like, people have asked me, like, oh, so you're not going to do any more deals? You're not going to do real estate anymore? You're not going to partner with people anymore? You're not going to trust people anymore? And I'm like, no, like, I'm never going to let, a couple of bad apples spoil, like, my position or my interpretation of people in general. Like, the second you start thinking that everybody sucks and everybody's a liar and you can't rely on anybody, like, what's the point? You know what I mean? But that's a choice. Like, it's very easy to be like, oh, that didn't work. Whatever it is, you know what I mean? So you've always kept a positive attitude with all that. And I really have never heard you say a bad word about anybody. And there's been times that you definitely, it was warranted. You could have, you know what I mean? So, I always appreciated that about you, that, you had a lot of times that you could point fingers or point blame or be nasty, and you never did. You always kept, the high road and the integrity of the situation, and just kind of kept your game face on and kept on trucking. So, like, what have you learned in life from that, from just disappointments with people, to trusting people? Or you've known some really, really, really amazing people and some really, really crappy people, and we both know them, so
yeah.
Kind of take our overall life lessons on that stuff.
Man, that's a really good question. I think one thing that I was taught a very early age. My dad, he, like, when we were raised, like, he definitely, like, ruled with an iron fist. Like, he definitely had. I mean, it was to, when I was really, really young, like, I feared my father. I didn't love my father. Like, I was more afraid of getting whatever. And but as he evolved, as the family evolved, like, he started to rule with love and compassion. And it got to the point where like I was more afraid of letting him down because of seeing the look of disappointment on his face. Like that hurt me way deeper than any type of, spanking or whatever I got, right? And, both he and my mom taught all of us boys, and my sister that like no matter what you do, no matter if you clean toilets or you run a multi-million-dollar business, like you make sure that those toilets are squeaky clean. You make sure there's not a single residue. Like you do the absolute best that you possibly can in any situation. Or if you run a business, make sure like you're the best, understanding, compassionate leader as you can be. Because people follow vision. They don't necessarily follow like a title. They don't follow like a manager. Just because you're a manager doesn't mean you're a leader. Just because you're a president doesn't mean you're a leader. Like people follow the vision. They follow people who have that moxie, right? And so, my parents have always said, just kill them with kindness. Like nothing ever bad has happened if you approach every situation with kindness. Now, that's burned me a couple of times because I think people took my kindness for weakness at times, and sometimes I allowed my kindness to really cloud my judgment. And so, but I'm so grateful for those experiences because now I've learned that when my values are aligned with other people, like there's an amazing synergy that can happen. And when people live and die by commitments, that's when I know I'm onto something. Because those who can make and keep commitments are very few and far in between people. They're kind of a rarity nowadays.
Yeah, man.
And so I try to align myself with people who can make and keep commitments. Because I know that if I'm in a partnership, I'm going to give 100%. Like whatever I can give, I'm gonna make sure those toilets are squeaky clean. There's not going to be a single residue left behind. And I expect that from the person who I'm doing the partnership with as well. And if they're not on that level, then I don't want anything to do with them on a business level, right? And it's taken me time to evolve into that because before I was like, oh, everyone's great. Like I love everyone. And I just want to give them hugs and kisses and just,
Yeah.
But that's not real. That's not reality. And I've taken some lumps because of it. I'm grateful for it because I'm more aware of who I share, this part of myself with. And it's been all for the better. So that's how I try to keep a positive attitude and I try to stay as optimistic as I possibly can because at the end of the day, we're people, we make mistakes. We're not perfect. It's just what are you going to do to show that you're committed to the cause? Because if you are, regardless of what's happened in the past, regardless of mistakes, let's just crank out. That's kind of what
I
how
love
I
that.
see it.
You're spot on too. I literally was saying this the other day. I was talking to somebody who I forget what they were doing, but they were a pretty like high level successful person. And I was with Nicole. And they were like, well, how'd you two wind up partner up together? And I was like, she always brings her A game, whether she's scrubbing toilets or running a company, like she's going to do the crap out of it. And those, like you said, those are the people you want to align with. But I've also found that there's a lot of people that say that that's how they're going to handle that. And then they don't. So like, for
Yep.
instance, contractors, finding contractors and I tell anybody doing real estate, if you have not had a problem with the contractor yet, you just haven't done enough real estate yet because it's guaranteed to happen without fail. It's just part of the business. But
Yeah.
one of the things I've been looking for is they're really quick to send you pictures of jobs and things they've done. But I'm trying to get the name of the person that they worked for or the realtor to find out, like, did they actually finish the project? Because I found it's really easy to get them started and have them showing pictures of kitchens halfway done or like the front of it. But I'm like, but did you finish? Because most of them don't. Like every horror story you hear isn't like I couldn't get a contractor in. It was they started, they dropped the ball halfway through, and it was a nightmare because now they're chasing the next job. So I've been trying to I don't care about your pictures. Like, how long was that on the market? Let me talk to the realtor. Let me talk to the owner. Like the last one I just found out, I was like, yeah, it looks good, but let me talk to the owner. He's like, I am the owner. I'm like, this is a house you renovated yourself for the last 2 years while you lived in it. Like, you're not my guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So do you have anything that you kind of do as like a litmus test to see, starting out before you're going to get into business with somebody, or even on the coaching side. I know like some of the people that I know that coach like that, they said, look, I don't just take everybody. I only want to work with people that I know are going to take my advice and hold themselves accountable and keep themselves on the same level that I am and show that same commitment. So what are some of the things that you look for to try and find that out ahead of time? That is this person really somebody that's going to keep that level of commitment to match mine, or is this somebody that's just saying it and they're going to text me at 5:30 in the morning that they hurt their head or they pulled out their back and they're not going to, you know what I mean? Like, is there really any
Yeah.
way?
So that's a great question. I do like a series of, so on a coaching level, I have a series of questions that I ask that will really give me like a telltale of who I'm dealing with. Because you're right, like I don't want to just work with anyone and everyone. In a perfect world, I would love that, but I know that's not reality. I only want to work with people who are committed to making a change and to stick with that commitment. And so the thing that I try to identify off the bat, like what's the big problem I'm trying to solve? What is it that you're ultimately trying to get out of this whole situation? And I flat out tell them, say, listen, man, like I don't want like surface level stuff. I mean, I don't want to tell you like I don't want you to tell me like from the time that you were 5 years old, right? But I want to get somewhat deep into the conversation and see like how willing you are to open up and how willing you are to tell me something that may be uncomfortable. Because when we live in comfort, like that's when we lose, right? I don't want people who want to just stay like in a comfort zone because that's just what they're used to. That's what they're comfortable with. Like I want people to like expand. I want people to like engage. I want people to really dig deep and kind of be vulnerable. Like I feel like vulnerability is something that can be very, very empowering if it's done like under the right context. And so when I ask them, you know, what's the big problem that I'm trying to solve for you? Like what do you need from me? And if they give me like surface level stuff, well, I just want to make more money, or I want to like close more deals, or like that's cool. Like everyone wants to make more money. Everyone wants to close more deals. Like that's nothing new. Like what is that going to do for you? Like if I help you make more money, if I help you close more deals, like what's that going to change for you? Like how's that going to improve your life? Now, if we go like a level deeper, say, oh, you know, because I have unpaid bills, or I want to, you know, take my kids to a certain school, or I want to provide whatever. Like, all right, cool. Like now we're getting somewhere. Like why is it important for you to take your kids to a certain school, or why is it important for you to have your kids in certain activities? Like what's that going to do for them? And as they kind of go deeper and deeper into like the why of like not just themselves, but like their family and people around them, then I'm like, all right, like this person has some real pain that he wants solved. And when I provide the solution to that pain, it's like I want them to feel like this is the guy that can get me to where I want to be. Because, bro, like at the end of the day, by nature, we're very selfish individuals, right? Like if I have a deep rooted pain, I don't necessarily care if it's Tony Robbins or like some dude I just met off the street but if the dude off the street can fulfill and satisfy my pain, like I'll go to him 10 times out of 10 because I know like I need something. I don't care who it is. I just want it solved right here, right now. And that's the service I try to provide is like, listen, I know like what type of pain that we're dealing with. Like here's the solution. If it aligns with you, like let's make it work. If it doesn't, like I love you, like, but I'm probably not your guy. And so that's kind of how I guess vet out those who are serious and those who are not, is like, can I solve what is hurting you right now? And if I can, then because I work under commitments. Like in order to work with me, like you have to be committed to this. And I make it very, very apparent from the top of the conversation that if you're not committed to that, like we're wasting our times. And people appreciate that because they're like, all right, like I can now lower my wall of resistance, and I can kind of open up a bit more. And then obviously as the progressions go down, like it's, you know, we're able to uncover some really cool things and able to work with certain aspects of their life as a profession, and as a person. And so But I don't know if that answered your question or not, but that's kind of
Yeah.
how I vet those who are and those aren't who aren't.
Well, I think, like, again, it comes down to all the same things. So, like, what I heard from that was that you look to see what their deeper pain is, because if it's just superficial and you want to make more money, their why not is bigger than their why. If it is something like,
Yeah,
I have to pay my kids' college tuition, or I have medical bills, or, you know what I mean? I wake up every day and my kid's staring at me and he wants to always go to the war, whatever it is. Now they have that deeper pain, that bigger why. And if that's there, then there's less likelihood that they're going to quit. And more time, like, the deeper that pain is, the more accountable they're going to hold themselves. So I think that that's a really good indicator. You know, like, somebody that's quit on 100 different things is probably going to quit on that too. Somebody who's bailed on 100 partners, when the chips are down, they have money. They don't really, you know what I mean? They don't care
yep,
about the next deal. I can see it. I think that that's a great answer there.
yep.
Now, on your business side of stuff, so, like, digging into that a little bit more, what's the kind of people? Because I have no idea, like, who would ever hear this. I mean, I have actors on, I have friends on, I have real estate people on, I have musicians on, I have business people on. So if there's just like a huge demographic that winds up just randomly coming across this, and they don't really know how they can work with you or how you would be able to help them, what's like the general situation of, like, the types of people you're helping, maybe the top few things that you're coming across that when you first have those conversations, they're saying, hey, like, this is a common theme of the type of client that you come across and some of the ways that you help them. Like, give some examples of some of the value you bring and some of the people you help that, like, might trigger something for somebody listening, you know?
For sure, man. So it's kind of it's evolved over the course of 6 or 7 months. It started off just being with, like, the one-to-one, like, sales rep who kind of feels maybe burnt out, or feels like they're not reaching their potential, or feels like there's like much more they can give, but they keep on hitting a ceiling, and they cannot break through that ceiling for whatever reason. And so part of it is like how, like, why are you hitting that ceiling? Like, why are you not breaking through? Like, what's the cause of that? So when I figure out the cause of it, then I can kind of implement certain strategies that might help with that cause, right? So it started off with just being like the individual sales rep, but as more business owners have heard about, like, what we've done, like, they're like, hey, I want you to teach my sales guys, like, my office, on how to help them become better closers, better at cold calling, keep their pipeline filled, but also, like I really want their minds to be right, like, when they come into the office, because so many times, like, if things aren't going well in other places of their life, like, it reflects and affects their performance. And so now, like, it's evolved more into, like, doing, like, coaching for big, not necessarily big, but I mean, like sales floors who want to have a higher performance level, or hit certain KPIs, and how do you hit those KPIs and stuff like that. And so it's evolved more into that. But honestly, man, like, it's, the thing that I teach, it can really be for anyone. That's the beauty of it. Like, it's both the pleasure and the pain of it, because, like, I mean, the Alec inside of me, I just want to, like, wrap my arms around and, like, just, like, help everyone. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, if you market to everyone, you speak to no one. And so right now it's mostly like sales reps, business owners, entrepreneurs, things in that vicinity. Um, so that's kind of who I'm targeting, right now.
So that could really fall into, like, personal trainers looking for more clients, realtors looking for more clients, and basically anybody who's looking to attract more volume into their business, regardless of what
Correct.
it is, right?
Yep. Exactly right.
I mean,
Yeah.
that could fall into pretty much every category. You're right. So
Yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah. So that's who we look for right now. Um,
Last question
but
for you is, being somebody who, I'm big on balance, and
yeah.
I have a dog that, as you know, I'm very fond of, but
Oh, Ralphie.
kids and Ralphie, let alone 4 kids and a wife. So how do you map out your days that you're able to not be crazy pulling your hair out or snapping at everybody, and really be able to hang out with your kids, hang out with your wife, do your business? Like, how are you tying it all together and finding that balance in the time. Because I know that is the thing that we hear a lot is like, well, I don't have time. I have a job. I have kids. I have a family. I have this. I have that. But like, again, everybody has the same 24 hours. Like, where are you finding time to put that in? And what's some advice or some tips you can give to somebody to try and find the balance to get that started until they're making enough money that they can kind of, pick up the pace or walk away from their side gig or whatever it is?
Yeah. So I'm an awesome father at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I suck at 8 at night. No, it's it's an ongoing daily challenge that I have for sure. I heard a really cool story about a guy. He was doing a ropes course with a group of people. It was like one of those like weekend getaways of like a personal development stuff, right? And the goal was they had to get from one side of a rope to the other just by walking like one long piece of rope and two ropes on the side for the handling, right? And they had to go from one tree to the other. And what happened is that each member who was on that rope, like they all had like a role to play. And as they made incremental steps, like the rope was really wobbly and they were kind of like just going up and down, but they were moving forward. And he's like, that's how I see balance. Like balance is not like this perfect line where everything is just going smooth. It's like you're wobbly here and there, but you're still upright and you're still walking forward. And if different things throughout the day like go up or down, but if you're still upright, if you're still walking forward, then that's really all that matters, because it's like I could spend all day like banging my head on my desk of how like I didn't handle this situation right or handle that situation right. What's the point in doing that if I know like that's going to happen regardless? So if I can just find myself upright while I'm balancing and wobbly throughout the day, like I feel like that's a victory. So what I do is just knowing my girls on a very individual basis, like I know how to speak their language. I know what makes them tick. I know what makes them happy. For instance, like my oldest girl, like she's crazy smart. Like she's probably smarter than me. She's only 9 years old, right? This chick is like out of her mind smart. And I know she loves like questions that really spark her mind, her interests about like mountains or space or like whatever, right? So when she comes to me with a question, like I try my absolute best to stop what I'm doing, give her 5 to 10 minutes of my undivided individual attention, and like I'm just like I'm present with her. And as her and I talk and converse, like it's only been 10 minutes, but for her it's been like 10 hours. And so when she walks away, like then I can like everyone can chop off like 10 minutes, 15 minutes here and there, like right? Like we're not that busy where every single minute of every single day is consumed by work. Like it's just you're not. And so that's one thing I try really hard at doing is taking the time to just stop, focus on them, understand them, know who they are, resolve it, and then I can resume again. And sometimes it works, and sometimes I'm like, babe, seriously, like, give me 5 minutes, give me 10 minutes, and that ends up being like 2 hours. But it's one of those things where like it's a constant ongoing thing. Again, routines are big for us. So not every single night we have like a family scripture night, and then like a story to kind of like bring the day together. We'll talk. We'll talk as a family. Things that happen at school, things you need to work on, stuff like that. So and again, that only takes like 15-20 minutes of our night. And then with my wife, at certain points of the night, we just shut everything off and we just concentrate on one another like solely. And so it's
cool.
That's how I try to keep balance in the house, but it's ongoing. It's for sure.
Always trying to learn, always trying to get things going,
Yeah.
I'm always picking people's brains on that, like not only for just in general, like, so I appreciate the honesty behind like just saying like Still trying to get better at that every that's life, man, you know?
It is, man. You stack those victories as much as you possibly can, because it's like you like have a victory, bank account. You just put in as much as you possibly can, because you have to deposit crap. You have to take things out every once in a while, man. So
And as long as you're putting in more than you're taking out, you're in good shape, right?
that's it, bro.
Boom, boom. All right, my dude. Well, I will let you get back to your day. I appreciate you catching up with me. I appreciate you sharing stuff. If people want to contact you, follow you, talk to you about business, or connect with you, what do you have? Like Twitter, Facebook, Instagrams, websites? Like, name some of the stuff.
Yeah, man. So we have a Instagram page. It's just it's Transcend Alpha.
Transcend Alpha.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep. And then my LinkedIn page is the best way probably to find me. It's just Alek Gilmore. Then it has like a description of us, the business, stuff like that. You can always look us up online. Alek Gilmore.
Cool.
And then you can always look at some of our material on it's www.transcendalpha.com.
Cool.
Or just email me at alek@transcendalpha.com as well.
Alek, right?
Alek, baby.
Nice. And what I'll do is when I go to publish this, I'll have like a screen with all your contacts and stuff like that, man. So anything I could do to help you, you always let me know, man. I always like talking to you. I miss having you out. And hit me up this week, man. Let's catch up and let's do this again soon.
Sounds good, brother. Appreciate your time, man. Thank you.
Hello, man.
I will. Give my love. All right. See you, bro.